science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.
Evidence is evidence. It's public. Everybody can look at the evidence and assess it, and eventually, if there's enough evidence, come to the same conclusion.
For newcomers and old-timers alike, the Chloe Sanctuary hopes to give you insight into the health and happiness of your companion parrots. We hope to help you build happy homes using reliable and proven tools. The best homes are built on a rock-solid foundation. And the best foundation for a happy home is the bedrock of science. When we stand on the shoulders of giants, the scientists who have worked long and diligently to understand our companions, we can reach new heights of understanding. And understanding is the key to success.
I think treated, most of these birds have a good prognosis, and I would say in...
What does avian veterinary medicine have to tell us about our feathered friends? How can we prevent illness, see the signs of disease before it's too late, and care for our birds through ill health? What light does behavioral science shed on their nature, needs, and hopes? How can the tools of behavior shaping make our homes happier for us and our companions?
Shake.
How can we deal with biting, screaming, or other misbehavior? What is it like to live among parrots? Let them roam around about you and share a life with them. How much freedom do you give them? What happens if you form a bond of trust with them? Watch and see what understanding their true nature can do for you. Come with us on a journey as we do more than examine a parrot's world. We live in it. Make some popcorn and bring in a few wood blocks. Let everyone have something to chew and a comfortable place to perch. Cockatude is a presentation of the Chloe Sanctuary for Parrots and Cockatoos, a nonprofit charity dedicated to the empowerment of captive parrots and public awareness.
I'd like to do a big shout out to those people who make this video cast possible. Cockatude would not be possible without our patrons. Thank you to those of you who make one-time donations. Without these patrons giving us of their hard-earned cash, we couldn't continue doing this podcast. I'd like to urge you to please give us at least $1 per episode. We do 2 episodes a month. We'd like to do more, but in order to do that, we have to have the time. And right now I'm spending a lot of time trying to beat the bushes for the Chloe Sanctuary. It's not easy taking care of birds that are severely damaged, both emotionally and physically. So, please, I urge you, become one of our patrons. And I'm sure that Peaches would thank all of our patrons in person if she got the chance. We try to answer questions from our viewers as we can. If you are a patron, be sure to email us at patron@chloesanctuary.org, and your questions will take precedence. We always put our patrons first because they put us first. Hi, and welcome to Cockatude, Cockatoos with Attitude. Episode 71, Casting Away Our Human Prejudice. seeing parrots in a better light. And what we're going to do today, our large crew of birds here, what we're going to do today, right, Peaches, is we're going to talk about Stuart Metz of the Indonesian Parrot Project and something he wrote called A Parrot's Bill of Rights. And I'm going to read it little by little, and I'm also going to interject some comments. I think what he wrote stands alone by itself. It doesn't need any explanation, but there's a lot of things we can talk about as far as casting light on what parrots really are. Are you sure about that? Are you absolutely? Okay, if you're sure. And you guys, hold on. Let me go grab a piece of paper. I forgot. Actually, several pieces of paper. Because if I'm going if I'm going to read it, I suppose I should have it here to read, right? Peaches, I don't want you eating it. Okay? You wouldn't eat it? No, I didn't think so, but you never know. So Dr. Metz, he's the director of the Indonesian Parrot Project. It's a non-profit organization which is dedicated to saving the wild parrots, cockatoos, in Indonesia. And obviously, the name kind of says that. But we're 100% behind these guys. They've done tremendous work. He's got a tremendous organization. And so we encourage you to donate. And you can see the link up on the screen and also in our show notes. We encourage you to donate to this nonprofit. It's important to save them in the wild as well as take care of them in captivity. So, right, guys? What does it mean to cast away your human prejudice? Well, we tend to see the world through human-colored glasses. The human mind forms models of the world, okay? You can see this if you look at something like an optical illusion. Why is it that your brain sees, for example, the one that has the square that can either have the box open this way or the box open that way? Or the stairs that go up when you're looking at them and then they're going down? It's because the human brain doesn't model the universe as what it is. It models the world in order to survive, okay? It models it in such a way that we can survive in it. So it doesn't give us a true vision of what's there. And let's face it, our senses aren't that good. These guys see into the ultraviolet. There she goes. Whoops, you missed Steve that time, kid. You missed him. Come here. Peppa, come here. Pep, Pep. Come here, baby. Well, come on. You're on the floor. This is no place to be. You're not going to go over there. No. Thank you. Well, come on, sit on. You can sit on my chest. You can sit down there. You like to sit on my chest. I know, a little loose. I know. So where was I? So the human brain does not do a good job of showing us reality, okay? It gives us something we can work with, but so we're biased too. We tend to look at things from a human point of view, from a mammal point of view, and these guys aren't mammals, okay? We have to use science and observable behavior to help us to understand these guys. So some people they like to call them FIDs, all right? As in feathered kids. These are not kids. These are avians. They're in a different world. Kind of like E.T., you know? Kind of like E.T., only they were here before us. I mean, birds in the wild were well defined before humankind came along, so they survived the meteor crash 66 million years ago. Didn't you? Yes, you guys did. Yeah, even those of us who have swallowed some lead and had to have it surgically removed. Let go of my fingers because I need to use them, okay? So we should stand in awe of these guys and always be ready to learn more from them and about them. It is ignorance of Bob's nature that turned Bobaloo into a living gargoyle. Bob's would-be parents made a hasty choice and found themselves in living hell, torn between guilt and frustration. I have seen the joy in Babaloo's eyes now that he has a new life with me as his companion. To see Babaloo love and trust again is worth the effort of a lifetime. But, once again, Bob is heading toward the pain of separation. My heart nearly broke the day I discovered that he was heading toward a cloacal prolapse, that his life will be cut short. To find love and acceptance and then have it stolen away from you by failing health is too much to bear. We can slow the progress of his failing health, but we can't stop it. He will need several surgeries, and eventually Babaloo will die. We want to give him the best possible life until that day. His surgeries will become progressively more expensive over time. Won't you please lend Babaloo a hand and donate to his medical fund today? Our donation button is on our webpage at www.chloesanctuary.org. Just be sure to say, "For Bob," in the notes when you donate. So, from Stuart Metz, A Parrot's Bill of Rights. Get to know about parrots before you bring me home. I am not a domesticated pet, like a dog or a cat. I still have the spirit of the jungle in me. I have special needs, which you might find hard to fill. Please don't learn these too late for my well-being. And please don't acquire one of my cousins from the jungle. It will jeopardize his survival and well-being. And that won't be a party for you either. He talks about get to know them. Well, here's some things that we tend to misunderstand and not realize about parrots until it's too late, most of us. The first thing is that parrots chew, okay? It's how they maintain their beaks. It also seems to be a pastime, kind of like chewing gum. But they chew things. So if you've got anything around the house you don't want chewed, well, the odds are it's going to get chewed. You don't have to look around very much around here to see something that's chewed. I think these are fairly new pants I'm wearing, but most of mine have holes in them because you can't keep your eye on them all the time, and they will chew, okay? They vocalize. They vocalize. They vocalize loudly, right? How come you're so quiet today? Usually this one doesn't like the camera. She's going on and on and on, but... So they vocalize loudly. They have incredibly louder voices than we do. It's one of the ways they bond together. It's how they bond together as a flock. It's how they show their emotions a lot of the time, although they can do that with their feathers too. It's how they give warnings, their flock calls, hey, danger, predator. It's how they call it, hey, Simone, let's go down and, hey, Pippa, let's go down and get some of those berries. Now that may, if you haven't studied the work done by the Cornell lab, ornithology lab down in Brazil, where they were looking at parrotlets, and they found out that indeed the mother does teach her child, teaches her child its name, then you might find that silly, but it's not silly, okay? You will never know all the reasons they have for vocalizing, for making those sounds. And know that you must accept their being able to vocalize within certain limits. You can help them choose to do it at certain times. It's more natural to do it in the morning and in the evening. So, but you're on my hand and I have to use it, silly. Beautiful song, Peaches. Beautiful song. Okay, out in the wild there are no tables. So if you expect these guys to have table manners, you're living on a different planet than I am. When they don't want something, they discard it. They don't throw away the last part of the apple slice. They throw away the handle. It was the thing they were holding. Hi, Peach. It was the thing they were holding on to eat the apple slice, right? So they toss it away. Like us, they don't really like getting their feet dirty. Okay, they eat with their feet, so they don't like getting their feet dirty. When something's in their food bowl they don't want, a lot of them will just toss it out. It's like most marriages in the United States, you know. Something slightly distasteful, you're out of here, buddy. So, and that's how they treat it. It's a little faster than divorce. It's a little faster than divorce in the United States, but that's because they artificially make you wait 6 months here. These guys, I don't want it, it's gone. They're not that way in their relationships, though, because these guys do bond for life. We see that as messy, but, you know, they don't need table manners in the wild, so. Toothpicks and small plastic parts. They make these, okay? If they see a piece of wood, they'll chew on it. You're going to have to face up to that fact that they make toothpicks and they make smaller parts from larger things. Don't you, Peach? Well, come on over here if you want to come over, Peach. Come on. You can come on over. They'll make toothpicks from around... Whoops. I thought I got her. They'll make toothpicks from around the molding around your doors. Your kitchen chairs, they'll chew on. If you have mahogany, it'll last longer. Or walnut. And they'll also take the toys you give them and tear them up, okay? So it depends on what they can get to. You need to let go of my hand again. You can't hold my hand, silly. They'll turn remotes and keyboards into smaller parts, you know? Interesting artwork. They'll shred your shirts. They'll turn couch pillows into piles of things that look like snow, so... Maybe they do it because they get bored. Maybe it's just to keep their beaks shipshape. Maybe they even do it to get attention. I know sometimes they do. I've seen that. Whatever the reason, they do it. And if you think you're going to stop them from chewing, that's kind of like the little Dutch boy trying to stop all the water coming out of that dam by putting his finger in the hole. It's not going to turn out well for you. Bonding. They want to mate, and they want a mate. And unlike humans, they want a mate for life. Well, humans may want a mate for life, or they think they do. But it doesn't take long for them to sour on that, for most of us. Now, that mate they're searching for could be you, could be your spouse, your mate, could be your child, a neighbor, somebody else, somebody who gets too close to the bird while you're not watching and pets them improperly. You see me holding... The reason I'm holding her down here is because she'll just go off somewhere if I don't. Right, Pippa? Yeah, I know, you find it comforting. She's getting a lot better about being around here. What do you want? Now, there are certain rules of conduct between mates. Trust me, you don't know them. Oh, some of you might know a few, or if you studied in depth, you may know a lot of them. But you're bound to break some because you're either going to forget to pay attention. Either you're not paying attention, or you don't know something. There's a particular thing you don't know that's a rule you're breaking. So, and you're going to suffer consequences from that. So, what consequences? Everything from bites to screaming to the unimaginable. Why unimaginable? We're not avians. We're not birds. We're not dinosaurs. So try to do everything you possibly can not to become mated to your parrot. We have a lot of videos that cover that issue, but try not to. Because once you do, you're going to have to live up to their expectations, and you don't know what they are. Now, I've been around birds a long time, and I've studied. You got to do both. Being around them, that's like somebody saying, well, I've driven a car for 20 years. That means I'm a car mechanic. No. You may know some things about cars, but you may have some ideas that are just totally wrong. And that's why you need to study, because the ones who studied these guys know better than we do what they're really like. So So keep in mind that they mate for life. So unless you're ready to take a vow that is, for better or worse, through sickness and in health, etc., etc., you don't want to get involved in that kind of relationship. I had one guy telling me that, well, he felt sorry for his bird, so he got it a mate. And after that, they didn't pay any attention to him, either bird, okay? So you can be shunned, you could be threatened, or the male may kill the female. There are a few species of parrot who can go the other way around too. Captivity isn't conducive to happy unions with parrots. Even the breeders, when they have these birds and they're breeding them, they keep a pair together and they take the eggs away from them as soon as they're laid, and then they throw them in an incubator. I disagree with this whole process, but that's what they do, okay? A lot of these birds will destroy the eggs as soon as they're laid. Now, they're curious, they're alert to their environment, okay? And they're aware of what's going on around them, more than we are, okay? Curiosity killed the cat. Well, the bird laughed at her, okay? You can't sneak anything into their world. I told the story about Chloe and the Rumford baking soda, or baking powder. You can't sneak anything into it. I told the story about Lorelei with me wearing the earpiece and coming into the room where she couldn't see it, but she figured it out anyway. So I lost my glasses to the floor over that one and the earpiece. So you're not going to fool them, okay? Now, the ones that you'll find that don't appear to be curious are the ones that have been mistreated, they've been ignored, shouted into submission. Those are the only ones that you're going to see that don't look curious. And they may not be curious, but they're alert that danger may be around the corner at any time in most cases, unless they're totally psychotic. Parrots can be wary of new things, okay? You bring something new in, you don't think about it. I know one person was telling me that, well, I haven't changed anything, and their bird was acting funny. They had brought some boxes in and stuck them in a corner, and that had to set the bird off. So, if you just think of new additions that you're putting on your coffee table as plastic scorpions or little scorpions or snakes or something like that, that's how the bird might see that. You don't know what they're seeing it. You don't know how they're going to react to something new that you did. So slowly add things to the environment and watch their reactions to it, okay? And don't expect Uncle Ernie to be a big hit with Polly, okay? Sometimes human mannerisms will evoke a fight or flight response. So Uncle Ernie may come in and say, "Oh, you got a bird," and walk over, and the bird will be like, whoop, right to the back of the cage, wings against the cage, get him away from me. Or it might work the other way. Uncle Ernie might put his hand in there, the bird will come right up, and then, because Uncle Ernie is chomping at the bit to hold this bird, he puts his hand there, and the bird says, "I'm chomping Uncle Ernie." So, got to be aware of their nervousness about new things and new people in your environment. That's really important. And you just love to get up on that arm when I need it. Why don't you get on this hand? And why don't you go on my finger, you silly? And keep an eye on your uncle too, because even if he can cozy up to Polly and it all seems good, he might be petting that bird constantly down the back or petting it under the wings, and next thing you know, you might lose your friend. Because Uncle Ernie takes over, right? Becomes the bonded mate of your bird that you have worked so hard not to become bonded to. Do you want to let go of my finger, please? Thank you. You are such a silly girl. You just have to sit on my fingers, and they need them. Territory. They define it, they defend it, and they expect you to understand this. They want you to know that this little line right here between, 1 foot, 2 inches away from the front of my cage is where my territory starts, wherever it does in their world, okay? I've had birds that they considered the whole place their territory. So they know what it is, they expect you to understand it, they expect you to see the signals they're giving out, and if you don't, well, then the real problem there is that territoriality usually causes what we see as aggression, when actually they're just protecting their environment, okay? So it's your job to know. Their minds are their own. We can't control them, or we shouldn't try to control them. If you've watched our training series, you'll know that there are ways to persuade them. But when we work using applied behavior analysis to persuade them, we're trying to get them to make the choices we want them to make. But they're making the choices. We're not. We're offering them, you can have A or B. And if they, we're giving them a choice. We don't mind whether they have A or E, right? They can have either one. We just don't want them to have C. You can have this piece of wood, or you can have this toy, but don't eat the curtains. That kind of thing. So we help them to make choices by offering rewards, okay? And the reason we do that is because we want them to make their own good choices. We want to lead them to making good choices. Their behavior isn't compulsory, okay? They don't have to do what we tell them to do. And they seem to innately know this. So it's optional based on their own needs. Working with parrots is like negotiating treaties. It's not even remotely similar to telling employees what to do. So you'll be rudely awakened one day if you try to compel your parrot to do things. You try to force them. Like the people who say, I gave my parrot the command. You never give your parrot a command. You give it a cue. You show it something. It's a cue. Like when I go like this, that's a cue to stand up. So, and you don't want to punish them, so they don't respond well to punishment. It's the carrot, not the stick, that works. In their case, the pine nut or the sunflower seed, or the petting, the scratch behind the neck. Now, if you think you know what your bird is thinking, if you think you're psychic and think again. Living in a fantasy world isn't recommended in general, but with parrots, it's a recipe for disaster. Right, Peach? Well, you can get a little closer. Now you're going to see me reaching behind her tail section. The reason I do her tail section is she has 6 fused vertebrae in her neck, and if I don't do her tail section, then she'll have impacted feather follicles. She's already had surgery for this in the past. So when she comes over and wants me to preen her tail, I'm going to do it, and I don't care if the cameras are on. But that doesn't mean that you can do this. Again, every bird's a study of one, and this is a special situation, okay? So those are some of the things that get to know about parrots before you bring me home, where Dr. Metz is talking about that. These are some of the things you need to know. There's others, but those are the most important ones, I think. Or at least the most important ones I can think of. All right, again, with Dr. Metz, A Parrot's Bill of Rights. Give me the largest home possible. I am used to flying through rainforests or savannas. I have given up this great gift for your pleasure. At the very least, give me enough room to flap my wings and exercise. And I need toys for my amusement, and wood to chew on. Otherwise, I might confuse your home with the forest and its trees. And that's what we were talking about chewing. You're not giving them the opportunity to do what they need to do, because they're avians, they need to chew, and they're going to chew your house up. So you need to give them toys, you need to give them enough room. It's important. What you think, I think there was, in the video, Parrot Confidential, which is done by Nature, one of the rescuers was asked the question, what's a big enough cage for a macaw? And the lady answered, 40 miles by 40 miles. That's about the range of a macaw. So you need to get off my hand because I can't function with you on it. There you go. I just can't. You need to let go of my arm. Thank you. You silly thing. You're just so silly. So I think, in my own estimation, for most of these birds, say an umbrella cockatoo, a 4 foot by 3 foot by 6.5 foot cage, like the one made by King's Cage. I think it's a 507 or 506 European style, is about the minimum size I'd like to have a bird in. We do have some birds in smaller cages than that here, and that's because lack of space, and a lack of funds, more than lack of space than funds. We'd find some way if we had the room, but we don't. So the only difference on the large cage is the sleeping arrangements. They really should have a separate cage for sleeping, especially in a different room if possible. That way you're always moving your bird from one place to the next to the next. You're not staying in a single cage. You don't get in a habit of not taking them out. That's one reason. Plus, if they have a night fright and they're in a small cage, there's less chance they're going to damage themselves by flapping around all over the place in a large cage. Give me a nutritious diet. I need a wide variety of fresh and nutritious foods, even if they take time to prepare. I cannot survive on seeds alone. Take time to learn my needs and my preferences. So, I don't know how many people I've run into that are just feeding seeds to these guys. That doesn't work. Any more than 15% of seed in their diet, they have a good chance of developing fatty liver disease. It'll certainly make them unhealthy. So they need their fresh fruit and vegetables. We have a mash that we make, and they should have good pellets. We recommend Harrison's pellets. That's what we use with our birds. Nothing is perfect, but at least Harrison's is using human-grade food, human-grade foodstuffs for their product. I've had some people say they don't like the fact that sunflower seeds in there because they have the wrong idea about sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds are not evil. It's just that you don't want to have them eating nothing but sunflower seeds. I've been to some bird stores where you look in there and there's nothing but corn and sunflower because that's cheap, and they can keep them on the cheap food until they sell them and make a better profit. They do that. They do it. A lot of these places are just as unscrupulous as you could get. They're just about making the money, okay? So, get your birds from a rescue. We don't do that. We don't rescue and rehome. We did that for a while. We're a permanent sanctuary with birds that are damaged. So, damaged. Are you damaged? She goes, yeah, I'm kind of damaged, but I'm cute. Let me have a social life. I am a gregarious flock animal, but I am not one of you. I need lots of socialization to learn how to act with you and with my siblings. I also need to have adequate quality time with you every day, no matter what your schedule or other needs are. I am a living, feeling creature. Above all, I need to be able to have complete trust in you and count on your predictability in looking after me every day. You can't just have them in a cage and take them out for a half hour a day. I think the minimum for these guys is about 3 hours a day. They're highly intelligent, they get bored easy, and if they're not given enough to do, they can go nuts. Okay? So you could too. Just imagine if somebody put you in a cage for most of the day. After a while, well, we have it. We have jails. We know what happens in there. They at least get to socialize. But if you know what happens in those cells where it's solitary, that just breaks down the personality, and it does it with them too. I've seen it personally. I've seen birds that have had that done to them. And that story I wrote, Corazon, is actually the truth. I used a different name, but it's actually a bird that I met that had been treated that way. Her human father, died and begged his wife to keep this bird, and she just didn't know what to do. She stuck it in the back room and threw food at it, and it went nuts, tore itself up physically, mentally went nuts. Well, it lived out the last few years of its life. I mean, it didn't live as long as it should have by any means. But it did live out the last few years of its life around people and being allowed to be social. It never recovered completely, but it did get, it did have some pleasure in the end of its life because these people really cared.
Peaches is an amazing personality. Her daily maintenance requires dedication and mindfulness. She requires 2 forms of medicine, 7 course meals, and effort to entice her to eat. Extensive preening every day, special tools to trim nails, constant attention to her vocalizations, daily walks, and twice yearly checkups due to the possibility of impacted feather follicles and the nature of her spinal injuries. It seems a common misconception among the general public that parrots are like toys in a toy box. Nothing could be further from the truth. They are complex creatures. Recently, scientific studies have shown them to be at least as intelligent as chimpanzees. Every captive parrot needs special humans who will dedicate themselves to understanding them, those who know their species as it lives in the wild. Special people that understand their social, mental, and physical needs. They need to be understood for what they are, and not as merely human companions, as circus performers to bring smiles. Peaches needs all this and more. She is our special girl. Will you help us care for Peaches? Please make a donation today at our website, chloesanctuary.org. That's spelled CHLOESANCTUARY.org. As a special thank you for your donation, we will joyfully send you a postcard with Peach's happy face.
Let me be clean. I may like to drop food or even throw it, but I need meticulous cleanliness to be healthy. My skin itches without frequent showers. The barbs of my feathers won't seal if they become oily, and worst of all, I may become ill if my food or water is not always sanitary. So 3 times a day, change the water. You know, it's like in Sweeney Todd, 3 times through the grinder. Okay, 3 times a day, and if you look and it's dirty, it doesn't matter. If it's you already done 3 times, do another. You know, clean it again. So 3 times is bare minimum. Excuse me, Pippa. You know, it's really hard for me to use my hands if you're here. You know, that's Pippa. I'm right-handed, Pippa. Well, let's just sit on my left, okay? Now, showers are fun, and we've had birds like Roman who wouldn't take a shower. He was obviously tortured with squirt bottles, but he loves showers now, and if you just take a fine mister, Poop Off makes a good one. That little fine mister they have, I know it's just, that sounds silly, but they don't just have their cleaning solution, of course. It's still the brand name Poop Off, but their sprayers are excellent, so you can spray them down just like a couple of times, or let them watch you spray another bird. But anyway, it's fun to give them showers. Eventually they'll put their wings out and dance around, but they need it too. I need my own doctor. You may not understand my physiology, and therefore you may not recognize it early on when I get sick. And it may be too late when you do, because I hide my illnesses. Remember what I said about being an animal of the jungle, where there are lots of predators. And I need an avian vet, a specialist. No HMOs for me, please. If you can't afford one, perhaps you shouldn't have taken me home. Now, avian vets have to study a lot of things, but I'm going to give you the quick rundown. I'm just going to name a number of things to show you why you have to go to an avian vet. We have muscles to inhale. They have muscles to exhale. Okay? We have red blood cells that don't have a nucleus. They have red blood cells that do have a nucleus. We have X and Y chromosomes. They don't. They have different chromosomes. They have a different way of evacuating than we do. Everything comes out at once. For example, with cockatoos, they have a renal shunt, which means that if there's some kind of a problem, they can bypass the kidneys and go directly to the liver. Okay? So if you don't know that, and you see a whole bunch of liquid coming out of your bird that's like they've doubled up in the volume of the liquid, you may think they have diarrhea. But if their feces is still solid, they don't have diarrhea. They have an internal problem that needs to be seen by a vet. So You need to learn the warning signs of disease, and at the same time, they have to have a specialized avian vet that they need to see once a year, okay? Please don't punish me. Just as I don't always understand your peculiarities, you may not understand mine. Don't try to get in trouble. See, I don't try to get in trouble. Remember, a house is not the jungle. If I do screw up, don't yell at me and never hit me. I have sensitive ears and I may never trust you again if you strike me. Hands are sometimes scary things to us. Why in the world would you not be zygodactylous like us? Even more importantly, we don't learn by punishment. We are gentle creatures who only strike back to protect ourselves. We learn through patience and love. That's right, isn't it? You're happy now that you can sit on one hand? Yeah, I probably should have done that earlier, huh? Yeah, you're a good girl, though. Now, we've talked about an ABA punishment. Now, there's a different meaning for punishment in ABA. Punishment means to reduce or extinguish a behavior. So, when you're punishing a behavior, it doesn't mean you're hurting a bird. It just means you're doing something to reduce the behavior. So it's a different meaning. But in this case, we're talking about people who do things like hit. They hit a dog with a newspaper to keep it from peeing on the carpet. That's punishment. You don't do that to these guys, okay? Hello! Hello, Peaches! They're smart enough. You can teach them by offering them choices. And, of course, you can check out our training series where we talk about how to work with these guys to show them their options and help them make right choices so they fit into your world. And you fit into theirs that way, too. This helps to build the bond between you and them. Speak my language. I know you get upset with me when I knock over my water bowl, throw food, scream, or pluck my feathers. I don't do these things to annoy you. I am probably trying to tell you something. Perhaps that I'm hurting, lonely, or sad. Learn to speak my body language. Remember that I alone of all creatures on this planet learn to speak yours. And they talk more with their feathers than they do with their vocalizations. But, for example, with Coco, she has a vocalization. She goes, that's her way of just letting you know she's there and she wants something. She wants attention, she'll do that. You've been awfully quiet today. Are you well? Yeah, your poop looks good. I don't know about you. You're too quiet. And you're sleeping, Lorelei. It's been terribly quiet in here except for Pippa. This is a quiet episode, isn't it? Well, got a lot of things to go through, so. Right? So, they have lots of ways of talking. The position of their feathers, the shape of their eye, their body, overall body position, whether they're leaning towards you or turning away. Like, for example, when a bird does this, it's looking for a place to go. As in, I'm going to get out of here because there's a problem, okay? So, learn their language. And it's fun to learn it. There's a different language for every one of them. These two right here are new at the sanctuary, Lucy and Pippa. And I've been learning their language. And they have different ways of expressing themselves. Because they weren't hatched into a flock. Right, Cause? Right, Cause? They weren't hatched into a flock, so they don't have a common language. They have the language of whatever they learned wherever they were. Pippa. Right here, Pippa. It's okay, girl. It's okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. You want back up on the hand. That's okay. See me as an individual. I am unique. I am a unique and feeling being. No two of us are alike. Please don't be disappointed in me if I don't talk like you wanted. Or can't do the tricks that your friends' parrots can do. But if you pay close attention to me, and I always empathize with you, whether you know it or not, I will show you a unique being. who will give you so much more than talking and playing. Give me a chance to show you who I am. I think you'll find the effort worth it. And remember, I am not an ornament. I do not enhance any living room decor. And I am not a status symbol. If you use me as such, I might nip at your upturned nose. Yeah, a lot of people think, well, for example, with umbrellas and sulfur crusteds, some people think of them as starter birds because they're white. And they're looking to get, I want a bird that's like multicolors. What does that have to do with anything? I think choosing a bird strictly out of color is just a form of prejudice. Yeah. There you go. There you go. That feels good. Thank you, baby. Thank you. That feels good. Thank you, Pippa. Good girl. You know, it's a behavior that I want to encourage, so I'm obviously talking as nicely as I can. I'm also expressing my own true feelings, but it doesn't matter. In this case, she sees it as reinforcement. So. And many people think, well, I want to get something exotic. I want to get just something that's different than what everybody else has. And that often is just the desire to show off, okay? It doesn't work with these guys. They deserve a lot more than that. So if you're going to get one of them, get yourself a rescue, find out what problems it has, and deal with them, okay? Learn what you can, and promise yourself that you're going to do everything you can, and stay with them. Unlike with most marriages in the United States, you're going to make a permanent commitment. The only time you would change that would be if you really just don't have the skills to work with the bird and you can't make yourself do it. But you should try to get those skills, and you should not give up easily. Unless, of course, I'll give you an exception. There was a lady who had a Goffin, and this thing was tearing itself up terribly. I mean, it had cut its skin, and it was awful. I'll put up a picture of Sydney, but it took 3 months to get this woman to give up the bird. She said, "Oh, I just can't give up. I have to keep trying and trying." But she wasn't really doing anything. She took the bird to the vet, but she didn't know how to work with it. Well, it died eventually. We got it, and one of the board members and her mother took care of it 24/7, but it died of infection. So there are times when you recognize that, hey, I'm not doing this, and it could mean the bird's going to die, so I need to hand it off. But you want to stick with it if there's any way you possibly can, and you can make a connection, okay? Hi, Cockatoo. They're not to be committed to lightly. You're on this hand again. You like to sit on my right hand, and unfortunately, I can't get this paper over here. Share your love with me. Above all, please remember that you are my special person. I put all my trust and faith in you. We parrots are used to being monogamous. No bar hopping for us. So please don't go away for long periods or give me away. That would be a sadness from which I might never recover. If that seems to be asking a lot, remember, you could have learned about my needs before bringing me home. Even having a baby or taking a new job isn't a fair reason. You made a commitment to me first. And if you think that you must leave me because you might die, provide for me forever after you leave. I may live to a ripe old age, but I can't provide for myself. Remember, I'm in a small cage amongst people who are not of my blood. So a will and a trust. You can get a pet trust, which is valid in most states, and then you need a will too. And then don't just give them to a relative who thinks they're cute. Make sure they go somewhere. Hello. Yes, hello. They go somewhere where they're understood. You go ahead and sing, Peach. Come on, sing. Sing, Peaches. Sing, Peach. Hello. Hello, Peaches. Hello. Hello, Peaches. Your rights. You have a lot of rights, but I can only assure one. And that is, if you treat me the way I described above, I will reward you with unwavering love, humor, knowledge, beauty. Humor, knowledge, beauty, and dedication. And a sense of wonder and awe you haven't felt since you were a child. When you took me home, you became my flock leader. Indeed. Hello, Peaches. Hello. Hello. When you took me home, you became my flock leader. Indeed, my entire universe for life. I would hang the moon and stars for you if I could. We are one in heart and soul. Well, Dr. Metz says it better than I ever could. I may expand on what he's saying and give you my opinions, but he said it better than I've heard anyone else say it. So please consider donating to the Indonesian Parrot Project. You'll find the link to that in our show notes and on our website. So, right, Pippa? Pip, 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 pip. Oh, you're so happy you get to sit on my right hand. Yeah. So do you want to say goodbye to the people? Or maybe Peach, you want to say goodbye to the people? Come on up. Peaches, you want to say goodbye to the people? You want to say goodbye? You guys both want to say goodbye? Peaches. Very good, Pippa. Very good. Well, she's saying goodbye. But you can look cute. It's easy for you because you are cute. Thanks so much for watching, and special thanks to our donors and our patrons who keep us going. Because without you guys, we couldn't do what we do. We welcome your feedback on our videos. We look forward to your insights, tips, questions, stories, and pictures. You can email us at cockatude@chloesanctuary.org, reach us on Twitter @Chloe Sanctuary, and join with us on our Facebook Chloe Sanctuary page.
Science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.